Hello guys and welcome to Golden Assets. So in this video we will review a video from My Collectibles. The title says where we are, my thoughts on the current state of Veve. I haven't seen this video yet, so yeah, I thought I was going to check it with you guys. So I know he does really great videos, so let's check it out. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, guys. So that's that, let's continue.
Is that there are lots of issues with Veve, all right? I mean, I know that. We all know that. There's lots of issues. Lately, there's been lots of issues too. People have really started to point out the mistakes they've been making and all that kind of stuff. But there are lots of issues with NFTs in general, everybody, and other platforms, right? There is no perfect platform. We are literally at the beginning of this whole thing. We are at the beginning of Veve's journey. They literally were birthed into the space less than 2 years ago. That is a minute amount of time. Okay. So we got to give them like some time. Now, if you don't want to, and you're impatient about it and you demand perfection from the start, then this project is not for you. And maybe the NFT space is not quite for you yet either. All right. You might want to wait for a while for these things to get ironed out. We're watching them develop right in front of our face. Like we are literally watching this whole thing get built right in front of our eyes. And we are the ones who are in the projects, owning the stuff, doing the drops and all that stuff. So we're kind of like testing the system, and if you don't know that, if you're not aware of that, and you're not fully acknowledge that, then this might not be the right time to be here yet. You might want to wait a while until things get a little bit more solidified. If people are going to get emotional about every time there's like a little mistake that happens or a big mistake, like I'm fully okay with how this whole space is developing. I'm not upset when Veve makes a mistake that's in their Medium article or whatever. That doesn't bother me at all. I kind of expect these things to happen in beta. Like this is what happens, right? So we're on like a pathway. So there is no project out there that is perfect. There is no project that hasn't made mistakes. All right. There's no project that is complete. All right. There's no project that is fully developed. All of this stuff is developing before our eyes. Right. So I'm happy to go along with the journey. I'm happy to do that. I don't mind. The interesting thing is I come from a different generation, and this is just the way it is, right? So, my kids are teenagers now. They get it. They understand. They see, right? They're not hypercritical. They're living this stuff. They're growing up with it. I come from a time from way before any of this, before the internet, before any of this stuff. Saturday morning cartoons, in 1980s toys, physical toys, reading comic books in real life, collecting them, sports cards, all that stuff, watching TV, with cable, turning the television with a knob, getting my remote on my TV, putting bunny ears on the top and trying to find that station, whacking the TV, and somehow the station came through. I don't know why that worked, but it did. No cell phones. No internet. All right. I had a time where I didn't even care that I didn't have a cell phone. In the early 2000s, very early 2000s, my friend had a cell phone. And when we would go out to the bars and the clubs and hang out, and I would want to call my girlfriend, I would just use his phone. I'd say, oh, if you want to get a hold of me, just message my buddy. We're together. And that was cool because I was like, well, I don't know if I really needed cell phone at this point. And then finally I got one and I was like, whoa, this is pretty powerful to have one. So I come from a time from before all that, you guys. So I've gone through the whole thing. So I have a lot of patience. That's the thing. I have a lot of patience with what's happening right now. I'm not in a rush at all. I'm all good.
I think,
but there's an entire generation of people who grew up in this digital age who are very impatient, and a little bit, and there's some people, and this is an entire knock on entire generation, but there's just an impatience there because, if you didn't grow up in the time before all this, then I'm sorry, it's tough to understand like how amazing all of this is, right? And I have that kind of perspective. I'm one of the last generations who's young enough to appreciate it, but old enough to understand, like, you know, the time before, right? It's kind of a weird time. If you're born in the mid 70s or the 70s or even the early 80s and stuff like that, you might have more, you might have a perspective on it that's a little bit different, you know? So there's also a bit of an entitlement issue going on here. Everything has to be perfect and everything has to be delivered immediately. And if not, arms go up in the air and people freak out and flood the space with negative comments, you know, and not FUD or anything like that. Just like impatience, you know, intolerance, a little bit of intolerance for like any kind of error, you know, those kind of things, right? And then, you know, it starts to creep into this area of like deceit and deception. And then conspiracies start to come out where like, oh, they're against us. Like Veve is against us. They're lying and all this kind of stuff. Like this kind of stuff starts to creep in, you know, and it all relates to, a lot of it relates to, you guys, the market being down. Now, I've been listening to everybody the last couple of days. I wasn't really going to get into this, but I was today on today's live stream. I was just going to have a nice little live stream. But I've been listening to everybody the last couple of days. And it's been really amusing to me, actually, you know, the amount of strife. And yesterday was a big day. Yesterday was a big ranting day in the Veve community. And that's okay. Like sometimes it's good to get it off your chest, get things out, let it go, you know, like, you know, put all your concerns out there, all this kind of stuff. I remember there's a space that happened on Twitter. A lot of people in there, well, about 100 people. It's not a ton of people, but a lot of people came in and out. And there was a lot of, you know, like just venting, right, about what's going on and airing out some of the stuff and, you know, saying what people wanted. And, you know, there and I was listening to the whole thing and there's a lot of really good stuff in there. You know, there was one comment, though, that I thought was really interesting. It's nothing to do with the market being down. And I thought that was comical. It has everything to do with the market being down. If everything was like half of all-time highs, guaranteed people would not be as upset. Guaranteed. And don't try to tell me otherwise, because that's the case.
True that, guys.
If everything was worth more and we didn't have this market being down,
don't forget to subscribe.
Then people would be a little bit happier. Let's be honest. But that's not the case. So we start to focus on like a lot of things that we can't control. You know, you start to focus on things that are out of your control. So don't do that. Focus on stuff that's in your control. We can't control what's going on at Veve. We can ask for better, you know, communication. You know, we can ask for no mistakes in Medium articles. We can ask them to like not screw up on the drop numbers, those kind of things, right? But they don't have to tell us anything. They don't have to say anything at all. And they probably should say less, because everything they say gets picked apart. And this is kind of what's happening in a lot of different projects. You know, if you go into other projects, the owners aren't communicating as drastically as they're trying to here. They're trying to communicate here. And what do they get when they do that? What do the Veve owners get when they try to communicate with you guys? Try to come on, you know, people's live streams, try to go into Twitter spaces and talk about stuff and explain stuff. Go into the conventions and just make themselves 100% accessible to everybody there. What do they get? They get a lot of crap from people, right? And you know, that's just the game. They know it. They're tough skinned. They can play this game. It's all good. Can you play this game though? Do you have the tough enough skin to go through the growing pains of the entire NFT space? Do you have the skin tough enough for it? Can you handle it when there's an error or a mistake that comes out and not freak out? If not, then maybe take a breather and come back when everything is developed a little bit further, because it's going to get ugly, everybody. We are going to have some ugly times. There's going to be big mistakes. There's going to be market crashes. There's going to be screw ups. You know, they're trying to literally create technology right in our face right now, and we are the testers. So when you are the testers, this is what happens. You're going to see all of the bumps, the bruises, the cuts. You know, we're going to see it all. We're the ones who are here getting tested on. And you just recognize that and know that before you come into the space, you know, and try to keep a level head about the whole thing. You know, I've been in a lot of different experiences with a lot of different businesses, and every business that starts out goes through these pains. Nothing shoots out the gate perfect and done and ready and 100% like, you know, without flaw. And nothing ever, no business comes out and satisfies all their customers immediately. So you can't hold them to perfection yet. All right, let's give some time for this to develop. And it's not just Veve, it is the entire NFT space, everybody. It's not just Veve. Step outside Veve, which I know a lot of us do. We have projects all over, and some of them are doing better jobs in some people's eyes, and some of them are not doing as good, and some don't have as much interaction, and some have more. You know, it's all different, right? But you got to step back a little bit and look at the bigger picture. We are right at the beginning of a pathway here, you know, so expect some bumps in the road. It's all good. I'm fully expecting it. I'm wanting more out of the project. I'm demanding better. And if, guess what? The thing about it is, you know, we don't have to buy any of this stuff.
So yeah, that was that. I just had to show you because I know he's making a lot of great videos. Check him out, guys. My Collectibles. I personally thought that the video was really good with a lot of great information. I was thinking like this. I usually watch a lot of videos about Veve, so I watched them myself. But I thought like this, it's maybe better if I record and put it on YouTube so that you can see the information as well. So I can update you guys. So that's that, guys. I hope you have a real great day and see you later. Peace out. Bye. I'm watching you.